And it doesn't matter whether some care or some don't, but it's the same thing for these kids. So if you cut anything out of the middle school, you're taking away from the high school also too. This school is well represented as far as extracurriculum activities go, but it's almost like, what difference does it make? I'm fortunate to have a son who's went to college and graduate, but what about all of these students and their parents here? If they're insufficient as far as what they get, how can they ever get to college? If they're not getting what they need to get. 38, 39 students in the classroom that far exceeds what the state is asking for. And we go along like it's all right. I'm pleading with the state tonight. And I don't know how exactly it happens, I don't know all the steps. But the state knows it clearly too, that a major change needs to happen, not in just funding, but with the whole process. I'll be done.
Bueno, acaba de hablar el pastor Robinson y él ha dicho lo siguiente: el distrito necesita dinero adicional, obvio, ya lo sabemos. Mi pregunta es para los monitores estatales, mejor dicho, me voy a referir a ellos. Todos nosotros aquí conocemos el verdadero problema. Ustedes, como monitores estatales, deben de tomar control total de esta junta directiva. Nosotros sabemos el problema que está sucediendo en Lakewood. Aun si ustedes, como Estado, nos proveen más dinero, ¿a dónde va a ir ese dinero? No lo vamos a ver. Porque todos nosotros sabemos el verdadero problema. Está representado ahí, en la junta directiva. Por favor, les ruego al Estado, y no sé los pasos a seguir, pero les ruego a ustedes que tomen la iniciativa para cambiar el problema verdadero que sucede con Lakewood. Necesitamos un cambio total para poder ver una esperanza hacia el futuro de nuestros niños.
Thank you. I just want to say a couple of words. Just to give you some background, Pastor Robinson, if I got it right? Yes. The board did not do the cuts. Okay, the state has absolute control over the finances of the district, and I think I'm in total agreement with the president of the LEA that there are mandated programs that we have. I absolutely disagree that the reason why we're in this position is because of the makeup of this board. Towns River just announced 2 weeks ago, as reported in APP, that they have a $7 million budget, okay? And none of the people sitting here on the Towns River board of education. So I totally disagree as to the cause of the problem. I think anyone who looks at it, including the state officials, do not blame this board. They all acknowledge that the mandates, as the LEA president said, are not funded to the level that they're supposed to be funded, and that is the cause not only in Lakewood, not only in Towns River, but in many, many other districts, including Newark and all the other districts. And those districts do not have the makeup of this board. So to blame the deficit on this board is absolutely, in my mind, wrong. Factually wrong.
Apostle Simpson.
Just this budget does not have any courtesy busing. All this budget have, from the way I understand, is mandated program.
From the past, I think is what they're saying.
Sir?
Bueno, el señor de la directiva acaba de decir que él está en desacuerdo con el pastor Robinson. Él dice, yo estoy en desacuerdo con usted porque en realidad nosotros no somos el problema. No quiero que ustedes nos vean a nosotros como el problema. Hay muchas otras escuelas como en Towns River, en Newark, que ellos también están pasando por problemas similares y su junta educativa no es como la nuestra. Así que el problema no queda en nosotros.
Mr. Wilson? Dan Wilson? Is that you, sir?
No, take Apostle Simpson. I'll take foster system space.
But we have a list, so we don't allow
Yes,
people to
yes,
stand
I
for their
spoke with
votes.
him back there, he's gone. I am Pastor Earl Jackson, Refuge Apostolic Church,
Go ahead.
270 Winter Parker Road. Good evening, everybody. You're quiet. You're quiet because you know that Pastor Robinson is right. He's correct. We've been going through this for years. We have been going through this for years, and I noticed that the people who are not here are the people who are not worrying about their school being tampered with. You see that little guy back here? And I hate to put you out, but his parents and he will never have to worry about having a place to have school.
Come on.
The more, I see more houses and more schools going up, but not for the public schools. I see plenty of things that are being built all over the place. Where are the money coming from? And I noticed something. They're talking about the churches who are not being taxed. I'm paying $1,000 a month in tax. And they said I am exempt. So I'm not blaming on the state at all. It is not the state's fault that Lakewood is in the position that it is in. We've been arguing for years. I've been to many other states. I even have been into Europe, and I see signs say, "Come to Lakewood. Come to Lakewood. We have places for you in Lakewood." Anybody who have hats like these, come to Lakewood. I am not lying. So you tell me, where is the problem? It's not the state. Do not blame the state. The state needs to shut down the board and restructure it all over again. Okay? The problem is not the state's problem. The problem is the people up there who do not have children in the public school. Thank you.
Bueno, para resumir, él es el pastor Jackson y dice lo siguiente. Buenas tardes a todos. Veo que están muy calladitos, porque el pastor Robinson tiene la razón. Ese niño que está sentado aquí en la tarima, y disculpa que te ponga como ejemplo, pero ese niño jamás tendrá que preocuparse por una casa o por una buena educación. Sin embargo, nuestros niños son los que están sufriendo las consecuencias. Yo pago casi $1,000, si es que no es más, por los impuestos de mi congregación, de mi iglesia. ¿Y ustedes cuánto pagan? Aquí hay muchas más cosas importantes. Aquí ustedes, los monitores estatales, tienen que darse cuenta cuál es el verdadero problema. Por favor, tengan la consideración de ayudar a nuestros niños, porque ellos son los que más lo necesitan.
Alejandro Morales. Mr. Gaddy.
Speak in Spanish, Alejandro.
Oh, I apologize. Ms. Morales, go ahead. I didn't see you.
Speak in Spanish, my friend.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alejandra Morales. I'm living in Lakewood. I'm very disappointed again. And that's enough. And stop to speak bullshit. No, because,
There's no person.
no,
There's kids here.
listen.
One more time,
Oh, yes,
and you're gonna
you
get out of
think
this
your
room.
kids, you don't think
One
they're
more
my
time,
kids.
you're gonna talk like this on the floor, you're gonna get out.
Listen, you can, listen. No. Because this is very big serious.
Please no profanity. Please no profanity.
This is very serious for the kids. What happened next year? Everybody here, they know where is the truth and where is the come from this problem for no money in Lakewood. The problem is not the state how much give you the money for Lakewood. The problem is the district where are putting the money for the public schools. That's the problem. This is unacceptable because it's not your kids, it's my kids. I can't believe you, Lakewood. No money in the district, no money for the public school. Lakewood go every single day, go up in construction. And no money? Tell me somebody where come from all these millions and millions dollars. Can you answer somebody this question? You can lie to me, because don't forget who's me. Nobody here want to talk to the truth. And I don't talk right now because I know my limits right here. But I know the truth. Everybody here, I know. And this is enough. No more. No more. This is something very ridiculous. 68 teachers. Go and see the schools. Go and see the classroom. How many kids in each one classroom? How many kids for the next year? 40? 45? Also, no more sports in middle school. You know the problem in middle school? What the kids to doing when finish just regular class? Tell me. Again, next year, the same point, the same problem, the same story to the transportation. I told you many times before, let's go together. The 2 minutes before I received the mail, 1 hour, 34 minutes, cancel. Don't play anymore, please. Because this day, I'm in Passaic, New Jersey. I drive very crazy because 6:30 is supposed to be the meeting. And cancel in the last moment, that is acceptable. Please, stop. I told you again, the problem is not the state. Yes, the state said no more money to Lakewood. That's right. Because every year give them money and money and money, and Lakewood down and down and down.
Buenas noches. Bueno, la señora Morales es la que acaba de hablar y ha dicho lo siguiente. Estoy muy molesta porque este problema es continuo, porque lo que está pasando en este momento es inaudito. Ustedes están hablando pura basura. Esto es un desastre. Todos aquí sabemos la verdad, porque nunca hay dinero, nunca. A tu hijo no le afecta a mi hijo. ¿De dónde sale todo ese dinero para construir todas estas viviendas? Todos conocemos la verdad. ¿Cuántas más clases? ¿Cuántos niños más van a haber en nuestras clases? De por sí ya hay como 25, 30. ¿Cuántos van a poner el otro año? 40. El problema de la escuela intermedia. ¿Qué van a hacer los niños sin deporte, sin actividades extracurriculares? ¿Irse a la calle? Eso es lo que ustedes están planeando hacer. Después de escuela no tienen ellos nada que hacer más que irse a la calle. ¡Alto! Es momento de ponerle un pare a todo este problema. El problema no es el Estado. El problema no es el Estado. Todo el dinero que viene llega, pero no llega a nuestros niños. Por favor, monitores del Estado, escúchenos. El problema no son ustedes.
Daddy.
My name is Tom Gaddy, and I'm the chairman of the Senior Action Group, SAG. First, let me begin by saying that I agree with all my esteemed colleagues over here about replacing the board. I think that the problem lies within the members on the board. And this is like waking up to a bad dream and realizing it's really not a bad dream, it's reality. As far as we're concerned right now, I've sat with Hespe over a year ago and the head of the VOD face to face and asked for the same things that you're all asking for right now. And you know what we've gotten? Zip, nothing, nada. So I'm going to take a wild shot and think that everything that you've written and everything that you're going to submit will ultimately result in getting no money.
Exactly.
So let me make some suggestions as to how we can come up with this 8.5 million and get us through this year. Everybody seems to speak about this kumbaya moment where both communities are supposed to really rally together to solve this problem. Well, right now, we sat with the busing coordinator and we listened to him say that if the private schools did a whole bunch of things, we could save $4 million. Right now, I've heard numbers between 2 million and 4 million for what the private schools should be paying to have their garbage picked up. They're paying nothing. Right now, you're worried about a $2 million deficit reduction. I'd forget about that. And the other thing, I sat with the head of the VOD in his library and we discussed SHI. We discussed the fact that there are going to be certain children that are going to be there that no matter what are really going to be helped no matter what we do for them. And then we discussed that there are probably a lot of children there that would be better off in a much more general population. And then there were children that are there that are being helped greatly. But if we can start to take some of the children out of SHI, maybe the ones that really can't really be helped, or the ones that would be better off in a much more general population, and move them into district, we could be saving tens of millions of dollars. So what I'm giving you is solutions right now to get us through this year. And you can send all your letters, and you can send all your, everything that you want to send to Commissioner Hespe and the people of the Board of Education in Trenton, and we're still going to get nothing because they keep saying they have no money. We better figure a way to fix this right now, because if we blow off 68 teachers, these young kids that are sitting here that are devoted to the public school kids, you're going to what? Fire them? That makes a lot of sense. It's a horrible idea and will only really devastate this school system even further.
Buenas noches, voy a hacer un resumen de lo que acaba de decir el señor Tom Getty. Yo estoy de acuerdo con todas las personas que se han parado a hablar esta noche aquí. De hecho, se me hace inaudito que todavía cada año tengamos que pasar por lo mismo. La Junta nos está diciendo que tenemos un déficit de 8.5 millones. Aunque el Estado nos dé ese dinero, nosotros no lo vamos a ver. Ese dinero va a quedar en cualquier manos, menos en la de nuestros niños. Los buses para las escuelas privadas toman mucho dinero porque esos niños no vienen a nuestras escuelas, así nos podemos ahorrar un poco de dinero. Los niños que están en las escuelas de los niños de educación especial, ¿por qué no los sacan y vienen a nuestras escuelas? Nosotros le podemos proporcionar la educación que ellos necesitan sin tener que pagar tanto dinero por una escuela especial. Póngalos en nuestras escuelas y verá que estas 68 maestras que están por irse van a poder ayudar a esos niños. Esta junta directiva tiene que cambiar.
Castillo.
Good evening. My name is Alejandra Castillo. I'm an 8th grade honor student and athlete and part of the student government at my school. Considering the fact that you're proposing to cut teachers and our sports, after-school activities, which are going to be devastating for our students. As of right now, as a student, it's safe to say that it's very hard to concentrate in a class where there's 30 students. So imagine 40 plus students in a class. We are not given the time one-on-one with our teacher to really conference and pay attention. So who is this hurting? Our students. It's hurting us. Not only that, our sports. Our sports is a great thing in our school. It keeps students off streets. It motivates us all to go to school. It really is a very critical thing in our school. If these are cut, who is it hurting? Our students. I think we can all agree that it's been far too much where our students have suffered greatly. We are the future. We are the future leaders, attorneys, and doctors. The future's now, and what are you doing to help the future? Thank you.
Alejandra, yo fui tu maestra de español, así que ve y ahora repite todo eso en español. Vamos, niña.
Los estudiantes hoy somos el futuro, somos esos abogados, los doctores, esos líderes de la comunidad y la nación. Si ellos tienen que ayudarnos en esto. Si ellos nos cortan cosas, actividades tan criticales, va a ser un problema. Vemos que ellos tienen que hacer algo para ayudarnos nosotros, porque nosotros en verdad somos el futuro y los tienen que ayudar.
My name is Michelle Jackson. I reside in Woodlake Manor. I've been a Pioneer mom for 15 years. And I have to say I've never been more disgusted in my life with this school board. Based on the agenda, it seems that there is a referendum proposed for 68 teachers, 3 guidance counselors, Lakewood Middle School sports, Lakewood Middle School clubs, Lakewood High School, and Lakewood Middle School late buses, which would essentially wipe out the high school sports program. And Pioneer Elementary School, what's going on with that? These are all necessities for the educational well-being of Lakewood Public Schools. Why is this a referendum question and not already in the proposed budget? Another question I have is, why do we continue to be looking to hire more and more counsel? Is the counsel that's on page 3 in the agenda in addition to the board counsel already? There's been like 3 or 4 requests for additional attorneys, and I'm not sure why we need to keep paying more and more attorneys for no results. Lastly, I agree with everybody. The only way this is going to change is if we have a public school board made up of public school parents, public school teachers, and pastors in the neighborhood. Because y'all are going to go to bed tonight, and you're going to put your head on your pillow, and you're going to go to sleep. And I'm going to go home tonight and try to figure out how to tell these kids that their sports are being cut. And now, these children already don't have enough textbooks to go around the classroom. 3 children for every 1 textbook. So if that classroom has homework, do we flip a coin to see who gets to do their homework that night? Everybody. We have teachers who are being restricted on what they can do. You're going to 68 teachers. 68 teachers. I get my 3 minutes. That's right. Thank you. That's fine. 68 teachers. Like I said, I've been here 15 years. We need a public school board that actually worries about our public school children, and this is not it.
I've been saying that for years.
I'm going to repeat what I said before. The board had absolutely zero with the cuts or anything to do. The way, let me speak. Let me just speak, okay? The way this cuts came about, and the state monitors are here, is the board, the state monitors, together with administration, put together the budget. The state monitors came to administration and said that we have to make cuts. And they asked administration, and state monitor sits right here. You could say it's not true. Board has found out about these cuts after it was draft. One second, let me just. After it was put together, after the list was put together, found out about this a few days ago at a finance committee meeting. It was presented to the board, and this is what we were told, that the state monitors came to administration. I'll repeat it again. And they asked administration that in order to balance the budget, which by law has to be, they asked the administration for a certain number of cuts which would total the amount.
Going on every year. The state just does stuff. This has been every single year
The
for
state,
years.
I'm talking about what now. So accusing the board of cutting, of not being considered, the board feels, and this is our first reaction when we saw this cuts in the finance meeting, that this cuts are catastrophic for the kids, and I agree with the young lady who spoke before. But to blame the board for this cuts, for cutting the teachers, this budget has absolutely nothing that's not mandatory. Everyone, I'll repeat it, in other districts, in towns right next to us, faces the same problems as in Lakewood. And to blame this board, as somebody said before, because we have little heads or something, again, it's the right of the people to express themselves. I totally disagree.
Bueno, vamos a resumir, ¿ok? La señora Michelle Jackson fue la que habló hace unos momentos. Ella ha vivido aquí, es mamá de estudiantes de la escuela de Lakewood por casi 15 años. Está muy molesta con esta situación y con la junta directiva. ¿Cómo es posible que vayamos a recortar 68 maestros, deportes, buses, programas atléticos, programas de actividades extracurriculares? En vez de preguntar cómo podemos arreglar el presupuesto, ustedes deberían preguntarse cómo podemos arreglar esta situación. Si no hay dinero para los útiles, para los libros, ¿cómo van a estudiar nuestros niños? De por sí ya los libros están escasos. A veces niños no pueden hacer sus tareas porque no tienen libros. Ahora nos van a recortar a las maestras. Necesitamos cambiar esa junta directiva y poner a padres que vivan en este distrito allá arriba. Tenemos que poner a maestros que vivan aquí en esta junta directiva. Tenemos que poner a pastores que lideren las iglesias aquí en esa junta directiva para poder ayudar a esta situación. Ahora, el señor de la junta directiva le responde: nosotros no somos el problema, quiero aclararles por favor. No tomen esto de manera negativa, nosotros no estamos haciendo los recortes, el recorte viene directamente de los monitores del Estado. Ellos vinieron, nos dieron el documento y nos dijeron los recortes que teníamos que hacer. Quiero que sepan que, por ejemplo, la junta directiva de Toms River tiene problemas de presupuesto igual que nosotros y su junta directiva es muy distinta a la nuestra, así que nosotros no somos el problema.
I would just like to say something. Mr. Zlakin is telling you the truth. Now, the board members are not responsible for the budget. We are all on the same page up here. Everyone up here agrees that the cuts are not fair, and no one agrees with the cuts at all. The board members are not responsible for the budget cuts.
La superintendenta acaba de enfatizar lo mismo, que por favor todos ustedes sepan que esta junta directiva, aquí todos los que estamos presentes en esta mesa no somos responsables de los cortes, nosotros simplemente nos adherimos a las leyes estatales.
Miriam Sutton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miriam Sutton, and I am a resident of Ocean County, also a graduate of Lakewood High School. I just wanted to comment on some rumors that's going around saying that individuals who live 2 to 2.5 miles away from school will have to walk. And I just wanted to say, like, are there going to be any accommodations for these children? Like, will there be extra sidewalks being made near like the major highways? Will there be any street lights or anything like that that the state will look at to budget for? Because I know how it feels to walk from, I used to live in Coventry, so to cut through all the communities, to stay away from the major highways, that's a safety issue. So I just wanted to know, like, will the state be looking into a budget to creating more jobs for cross guards and street lights and stuff like that, and sidewalks? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bueno, la señora es la señora Marianne Sutton, ella es graduada de aquí de Lakewood y tiene un comentario sobre unos rumores que ha escuchado. Quiero hacerles la siguiente pregunta. He escuchado que Los niños que viven de 2 millas hacia arriba tienen que caminar o van a tener en algún momento que empezar a caminar a sus escuelas. Pero ¿cómo va a ser esto posible? No tenemos las veredas necesarias para que los niños caminen. Ellos no pueden estar cruzando las pistas o las carreteras. ¿Qué van a hacer ustedes para arreglar esta situación? ¿Van a tener ayuda para que los niños crucen la calle? ¿Van a tener asistentes, policías? ¿Qué clase de transporte van a tener ellos si están caminando sin veredas? Pues eso es un peligro para ellos. Por favor, háganme entender cómo va a ser esto posible.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the public participation. We'll now come back and answer some of the questions that were posed this evening. Mr. Schachter, do you want to start?
Esto concluye las preguntas públicas. Ahora vamos a darle respuestas a alguna de sus preguntas.
It sounds like my comments tonight sort of go against each other. They do. At one time, I used to sit in the business administrator's chair. I didn't know exactly what I would be saying tonight if I was a business administrator. I can't do that. If I sat up, if I was somebody who came down from Trenton with no experience in the public schools, I would say something else. But I've been intimate knowledge of Trenton finances since I came here, I guess almost 2 years ago. And this is a very hard district to work with a budget. There are some numbers thrown around about the deficit, the beginning of comments about pension deficit, $15 million, things like that. I think that came from an audit. And this year, the state of New Jersey decided that rather than show the pension deficit all in the state books, they were going to shift it out to the school districts and the communities, so the pension deficit would be showing in the local agency books as opposed to just in the state. Our actual projected deficit for this year, including the 2.9 million from last year, is about $11 million. This year's additional deficit, it started at 2.9, we're adding about $8.2 million. Almost all of it is transportation. And 7.3 of that is estimated for the courtesy busing.
Teachers for transportation.
Next year's budget does not include any courtesy busing. We knew that had to come out from the very beginning. The referendum failed resoundingly, and I'm not passing judgment on why it failed, but it failed resoundingly, and the money's just not there to do courtesy busing. So that was out of the budget from day one. So now we get state aid figures, and there's about a little over $2 million increase in state aid. I'm sorry, a little over $200,000 in state aid, and we're allowed to raise taxes over $2 million. That in itself is impossible for almost any school district, and let alone Lakewood with its unique situations. Our problems for next year, the biggest issues are tuition and transportation. And we basically have had funds frozen for 3 years for the tuition budget and the transportation budget. We have to add transportation for about 2,000 students who are mandated, not courtesy, mandated. So that's about a 10% increase we have to do. Our transportation increase is going to be, I think, close to $4 million because of that, because the bus companies are raising their rates. So what we're doing, what administration wants to do, and I'm hoping that the board will approve this tonight, is to purchase its own buses and to start taking control of transportation. And by doing so, it would save about almost $3 million, and that's in the budget. The budget tonight, the board passed a resolution that they're not supporting the budget. And last year, if you remember, when the board voted down the budget, the state monitor immediately overrode the budget was approved. I am not doing that tonight. This budget is very complicated. The district is in between a rock and a hard place. Because the issues for next year have nothing to do with courtesy busing. Nothing whatsoever to do with courtesy busing. They have to do with mandated programs that the board has required us to give to the communities. On the one hand, the board has to deliver a balanced budget to the county superintendent on Wednesday. On the other hand, we have the superintendent saying that the budget is not thorough and efficient. So if the superintendent's saying it's not thorough and efficient, how can I as a state monitor say, okay, superintendent, you're wrong, and I'm going to override? I can't do that. I don't know what will happen when I tell Trenton that tomorrow, but I'm not going to do that tonight. As far as the board in this budget, the board was presented the budget. And it's the board's, the board is supposed, they're supposed to deliberate on the budget, possibly come up with other areas to cut that should be cut instead of the cuts that administration proposed. I didn't direct the administration to cut the budget. The state law directs administration to cut the budget, and I'm just making sure that we follow the law. So tonight, by not voting on the budget, basically we're going to have the budget submitted late to the county, and we'll worry about that next week when they don't get their budget on time. But we do have to, it's almost, I think it has to be a political problem. Because, you know, I'm not going to say right or wrong what the board did in prior years. I know for this year, I should say for next year, what we've done is this budget has really been cut. And to lay off all these teachers that we're talking about is basically is terrible for the students, and everybody up here agrees with that. But, you know, so we had to put something together so there could be a discussion. Because if we didn't do this, there would be no discussion tonight, and we need this discussion, and we need the discussion to reach the people who have the power to change things. I know there are flyers out there on who you can write. I don't know whether it would do any good, but I think it's important for the legislatures to know about Lakewood's problem. There was a comment about busing saving $4 million if we did certain things, and that could have been true for the current year. But next year, the transportation budget assumes, number one, that there will still be tiering in the non-public community, and that we will still have some multiple PM pickups. Now, if there's not tiering, if for some reason they don't agree to tiering, then all bets are off, and I don't know what's going to happen in transportation. But that's the idea with transportation. SHI does receive a large portion of our budget. We have a $32 million budget for out-of-district placements. And about $21 million of that goes to SHI. And I believe, and again, I have no empirical data, but I believe, you know, SHI is a highly regarded school.
Really?
And people know about that live in other districts. And when the children with special needs, when families of children with special needs, they want to move to a district where they will have a school that their child can attend that's close to where they live. And it's no different. I've been in other districts and it's the same thing, where you have, every district says, we're a magnet for special education children. And I've been in districts, they say that, it's always said that way. So this is nothing new. It happens all across the state. I think what needs to be done, and that's why we have a special education state monitor who is working very closely with the director, child study team members, is that we have to remember that we're supposed to place our special needs children in the least restrictive environment. And what this budget includes, again, it's a savings, but it's a savings in the right way. This year we opened up, I believe, 3 new classes for special education so that we could educate more children in district as opposed to sending them out of district. And the budget includes an additional 2 classes next year so that we can educate up to 24 more children in district instead of sending them out of district. That doesn't mean we're not going to send children out of district. We we have some very severely, I don't want to use the word handicap, but severely, severe special needs that require out-of-district placements. And remember, just because if the children are with non-special needs go to non-public schools, we in the Lakewood Public School District is responsible to educate all the children that enroll in the district, period. And then we have the state aid issue. If they were fully funded based on the formula, Lakewood would be getting about $5 million more state aid for next year. It wouldn't make all the problems go away that this budget includes, but it would significantly reduce them. And let me see if I have any other minutes here I want to say. So, as far as the board being blamed for next year's budget, I don't think you can blame the board for next year's budget. The board has presented this budget. The board just voted the budget down because they didn't approve of the cuts. And if this were another school district, I would be asking the board, what do you propose instead? But I can't do that here because there really isn't anything else that we can cut instead. We're not allowed to cut the out-of-district placements. We're not allowed to cut transportation.
Why not?
And two of them, I haven't written down.
They don't learn nothing.
Chart.
Hang on, we don't, this is not a circuit, respectfully. Public participation portion of the meeting is over. We're now allowing the state monitor to answer the questions. Please, sir. Sir?
Our tuition and transportation budgets account for 41% of the budget, which is extremely high. And normally salaries and benefits account in the school district 65% of the budget. Because the other parts of the budget are so high, our salaries and benefits only account for a little more than half of the budget, 52% of the budget. So, in closing, and if there's some question I didn't answer.
Yeah, I think I have a few written down. I think Ms. Gill had a couple of questions. Yeah, I think her question was something about the 2011 audit and whether the money is incorporated into the audit that the district had to repay as part of that audit.
Okay.
You received $27 million from the state, and CERF's quote in that article was, we are $50 million short, no money.
I cannot comment on Newark. I am not aware of Newark's problems. I know they have problems, but I cannot comment on their problems. As far as the loan payback, let me look that up. I have it here in a second.
In the meantime, while he's looking that up, Mr. Thompson, maybe you can answer.
I just got it. Oh, you got it. Okay. The budget this year includes a loan payback of to the state of $1,460,000. $450,000 is a state aid advance. $141,000 is from an extraordinary aid audit, which the amount is $709,000, and paying back over 5 years is $141,000 a year. There was a Title I audit, which found $4 million in findings, and that's being paid back at a rate of $787,000 a year. And there's an ASSA DRTRS audit that had findings of $403,000, and that's being paid back at the rate of $80,000 a year.
We're not going to have a back and forth respectfully. We've got other questions we need to answer right now. The next question was from Ms. Jackson. She had asked, why are these items in a referendum, not in the base budget? I think you've addressed that, Mr. Shafter or Mr. Thompson. I don't know if you want to care to elaborate further.
They're not in the base budget because we have to submit a balanced budget to the state, and there is no way to submit a balanced budget to the state and include those items in the budget.
She also asked about what is this RFP for attorney? Are we adding additional attorneys? Do you want to speak to that?
Okay. The RFP for attorneys, which the board will be voting on tonight, is part of the best practices. School districts are supposed to
go out each year for RFPs for their professional services. We do this for attorneys, the accountant, and insurance broker. It in no way implies that the current attorney is doing a bad job. As far as I know, he's not. And this is standard practice in most school districts around the state. And it's a way to have a competitive process so that the school district knows that the attorney they choose is competitive and is providing services in an economical way. Right? We're not looking to hire more attorneys, and in fact, the budget includes a $200,000 reduction in attorney fees for next year. The next question was Ms. Sutton. She had asked, what are we doing for students who are not within the courtesy busing range and are going to have to walk, the students who are within that 2.5 mile mark in terms of roadways, crossing guards, etc. Our transportation consultant, actually we met last week, administration with the Lakewood Township Police Department and a representative council, and we discussed our issues. At one time they thought we were just cutting busing, but now they know that not only are we cutting busing, we have another $8 million problem on top of busing. So they know that we cannot afford to do this. What is happening now, our consultant met with the police department this week and gave them maps showing the 2-mile radius around schools with grades kindergarten through 8, and a 2.5-mile radius around schools grades 9 through 12. They also requested, we're giving them the numbers of students in these radii by school. And what they're going to do is we're going to start addressing the issues in the areas that affect the most students. There's no guarantee that they can have everything done for this September, but they are putting a good faith effort into it, and they're going to do as much as possible that they can between now and September. Thank you, Mr. Shafter. That concludes the public participation portion and answer section of the agenda. We're now going to move on to Roman numeral 5.
Bueno, en este momento voy a hacer un resumen de todo lo que acaban de decir, ¿ok? Presten atención. El primer señor que habló, que es el monitor del Estado, dijo lo siguiente: parece que mis comentarios se contradicen esta noche, puesto que he estado en ambas posiciones. Yo he sido padre de familia y le he hablado a una junta directiva. Ahora estoy del otro lado de la moneda. Quiero explicarles que el déficit que tenemos ahora no es culpa de las personas que están aquí al lado mío, aunque quizás para ustedes sea difícil creerlo. Este problema suele ocurrir en otros distritos también. Una de las razones por las que estamos cortando deportes, buses, maestras, es porque el Estado ya ha cortado dinero de las pensiones en años anteriores y no podemos seguir haciendo esto. Ahora, una de las deudas más grandes que tenemos con el presupuesto, mejor dicho, uno de los gastos más grandes son los buses de cortesía y las escuelas para niños especiales. $32 millones se van básicamente para las escuelas especiales. Estos son niños que aquí en Lakewood tenemos que darle el beneficio de una buena educación en un ambiente menos restrictivo. Quiero volverles a enfatizar que yo estoy consciente de que la junta directiva no es el problema. Hemos tratado de ver de todas maneras, por todos lados, qué recortar sin poder afectar a ciertas personas, pero sin embargo no se puede. Estamos en una situación muy difícil y tenemos un problema monumental en nuestras manos. La transportación también es un problema. Hemos hablado ya con las autoridades, con la policía de Lakewood, para que empezando septiembre ellos puedan ayudar a los niños que vienen desde más lejos a cruzar las calles o a caminar o a transportarse a sus escuelas. Por favor, hay que buscarle una solución a todo esto en conjunto. No podemos estar culpando a nadie, puesto que este es un problema de todos.
Thank you. Thompson?
Okay, with the business agenda, I'm going to break this up into a couple different sections. I'm just going to do, we'll vote on item A, vote on item B, then we'll vote on items C through J, which are the revenue, the questions, the separate questions, and then we'll do item K, the lease purchase for the buses. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with item A, which is the legal services.
Vamos a empezar a hacer los votos. Vamos a empezar a votar todos los que estén en acuerdo con todas las referéndums de la A, B, C hasta la J.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion?
Nope. Nothing to say.
Is there a second on the motion?
The construction. So Donald Trump wins. You coming? I got a house.
You got a second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Roll call.
Mr. Burrell,
I could work with my nephew. Get me a job with his company.
this is just legal services only.
Just A.
Just A.
Yes.
Mr. Goldsmith?
I'm leaving.
Yes.
Mr. Kokobin?
No.
Mr. Zlatkin? Yes. Mrs. Gonzalez? Mr. Hine?
Yes.
This will be item 2, which will be for the budget. I'm sorry, letter B. For the budget. I need a motion.
It's just B or B through?
B only.
Just do it B, then we'll
Just
do the
B
rest of
only.
it separately. We need a motion on B. Is anybody going to move the budget? Nobody moves the budget, it does not move forward on the agenda.